Hi, and welcome back to the McSherryStudio with me, Kevin. It's great to have you back again. This class, I'm going to continue along this line of helping you to loosen up. Now, it's not everybody's cup of tea. Some people like to do hyper-realistic paintings. I mean, that's fine. It's just another avenue of painting. But I think very many people would like to actually get more of a flow into their work and make it depart from the object they're painting more. And this exercise, along with the other three that I've done so far, will help you. Now, if you stick around to the end, I'll show you something that will help you do this. Particularly in this exercise, there's something that will actually sort of be good to have around in your studio, and I'll show you that at the end of this video. So why don't we just continue along and get painting, okay? Right, so the first thing we do, the first thing I always do, is put on a wash on my canvas. And putting on a wash is also covered in another video. If you sort of go through my channel, you'll discover lots of painting tips. But this is a very basic one. This is something I think that everyone should do as much as they possibly can. Get into the habit of putting on a wash. It does help your paintings, especially when you're not completely familiar with the process. Okay, so, and I always wipe my wash down. It's quite a very toothy canvas, this one, so you can actually hear it as the brush wipes on the surface. So there's my wash down. That's a wash of burnt sienna. Now, let's do a drawing. I'm sure I have my reference to hand. So, we're not going to be particularly faithful to everything, so let's put on a skyline there. There's a hill in the background, and then there's these very Italianate or Mediterranean cypress trees, I think they're called. I always call them pencil trees. You seldom see them in the northern climate where I'm situated. Let's put that there. Yeah. A random sort of selection of trees would do. So the faraway hills, okay, there. A very clear sky. Some vegetation running along here, going down here, something there, and basically a field here. That's the scene. Imagine that you are actually standing there in this field, in Lombardy, I think it is. Okay, so let's grab another brush and do some large paintings. As usual, I'm going to start with the darks. Okay, so I'm just going to put in a few darks. Blue and burnt sienna. Let me put a little bit more burnt sienna down there. So we're just setting up our composition. We'll do that quickly. So darks down here, dark down here. You wouldn't use pure black for your darks. It looks too harsh. Darks there, darks there, darks there. These are I call it the skeleton or the bones of a painting. Everything else hangs on them, if you see what I mean. There. Okay. And this approach is a very sort of, it's kind of impressionist to post-impressionist, I suppose you call it. And so what we're going to do in this exercise in loosening up is paint all the wrong colours. Okay, so instead of green trees, I'm going to put red trees. Okay, and here would be kind of red as well. Okay, so there are our trees. Now the green areas below, I'm going to have them much more orange. Just do a big area, a block. I think this is what makes painting fun. Now those faraway hills, they are already a kind of orange colour, so I'm going to actually make them much more blue. Kind of a brilliant blue to begin with, because we're only blocking in at this stage. Bit of blue, bit of white. Departing, that hill there can go blue as well. We're departing from the photograph. Blue sky, a beautiful azure blue sky. We can do that green, can't we? Green would be a good one. Bright green. Blue and yellow will make a green. We'll put some white in it to make it paler. And we can block that in. Make a little bit more. Because we're painters, we do not have to conform to reality. Everyone is sort of transfixed by making their paintings real, but the value in painting, for me, is to depart from reality. Put yourself into the painting as much as you can. And that's our painting blocked out. So you can still see the shapes. The shapes are all the same. And now we can paint into those blocks. So it'd be nice to have some blues. For the shadowed areas. Some of the darker vegetation. Yeah, let's bring those trees down a little bit. Put some blues in there. Let's lighten up that sky. I need a lot more white in it, I think, and maybe a good deal more yellow. Yeah, that'd be nice. Now, I don't know whether you've ever heard of, there was a school of painting in Scotland in the sort of 1920s, it was called the Scottish colourists. Peploe was one. And now, because I'm painting this, I can't bring the other ones to mind because I'm concentrating on this. But I do recommend looking up the Scottish colourists because they did some remarkable, lovely paintings, really. Yeah, so there, that'll do. Now, let's do some more with these trees. Beef up that red a little bit. Because after all, You know, we're painting a scene in a hot country. Why not have flame red trees? Around a bit. But that one's a little bit higher. Yeah. Put some in there. Let's do something with the faraway hills. We'll send them into the distance a bit more with a bit of maybe a little bit of the sky colour into that blue. Bit more white. Make them pale. Okay. Oh yeah. And the fields beyond this, they can go in a nice blue as well. It'll differentiate them from the trees in front. What can we do with the foreground? Let's put a bit more yellow. In there. And don't be finicky with your brush strokes either. Just let your brushwork be seen. Now we are describing a grassy area, so we can make our strokes vertical. That kind of helps the scene. Now, as you can see in the actual grassy area in our photographic reference, you can see that some of the areas are slightly red, okay? So there's nothing to stop us going in with a bit of a green opposing, you know, what the actual photograph says. So the photograph is saying a lot of green, a little bit of red, and we've got a lot of red, we can put a little bit of green. Okay, so we can put in some strokes there like that, and we start to seeing the vegetation emerge from that. I mean, apart from the Scottish colourists, we definitely study Van Gogh and Van Gogh, as you might say in the States, and his contemporaries, who had to contend with photographers taking all their work. So they came up with an excellent response of painting wild colours, the fauvists. All right, let's have a look. Let's see what I can do with that sky a bit more. Let's lighten it up now towards the skyline. In fact, I'm being remarkably faithful to the photograph by putting in this very light yellowish green. Once again, let your brushwork be seen. And you'll notice that you can still see what this is supposed to be. A field with distant hills and a light sky and pencil trees in the foreground. Okay, let's grab some brighter yellow, put that in. And when you're, no pun intended, when you sort of get involved in your painting, you warm to it, you know, you start seeing things that just aren't really there, but are wonderful when you put them in. And that's usually to do with texture and brushwork, I think. Now, what can we do now? A bit more, maybe some blues for vegetation in the foreground a bit more. All we're doing is describing wild sort of wilderness. Although, can it be really said that there's any wilderness left in Europe? Okay, so maybe like that. I could do with some more bright, warm reds, almost like roaring red. So let's mix up yellow and permanent rose. We can describe some here. Maybe something in the foreground would be worth having. Now, some description in the trees. Let's make up a purplish colour, so white, blue and permanent rose. Cobalt blue, that is, okay? We can make up a nice purple. We can put that into the shadows. And obviously a lot of those trees are kind of dark. So we can put the purple where the darkness should be, or is. Okay, back to the red. And I just get a slightly smaller brush now. I've got this one here. No, that's a bit... Oh, my brushes have become so dry, you could kill somebody with them. Right, so here, let's grab some of this red here. I've got a smaller brush now. Okay, and describe the trees a little bit more, pushing away some of that green sky, shaping the trees. I mean, this is the thing, you don't have to paint the actual trees that are there. You can you make a certain amount of it up. Push that one out a little bit there. Okay, here too. And let's put some more of that in here. A few variations in hue. What about some brighter yellow? Let's go back to that orange and put more yellow into it. See what we can come up with. Okay, here we go. And use paint. Don't eke out your paint over a large area. Load your brush up and enjoy the way the paint flows onto the surface. Let's put some even brighter yellows in and see what I can get out of that. Okay. Let's lighten up the sky again a little bit more. More white into that. I'm really starting to load the paint onto the surface now. Let's shape those mountains a little bit more. So I'm not worried about my photographic reference anymore. I'm not really looking at it very much. Maybe just to get a few sort of ideas for what else to put in. Maybe you can sort of tell the story of wind by putting in texture. Where have you seen that before? Definitely with Van Gogh. It's a very, very enjoyable way of painting, and it'll draw you into it. You have much more fun with your paintings. If we try and sort of extricate ourselves from our inner Rembrandt, who's from a former age where they had to sort of be much more accurate to describe reality because it didn't have photographers. Okay, so now something that I know Van Gogh did and Gauguin and artists of that ilk, and definitely the Scottish colourists, are going to make up a very dark blue and burnt sienna. And I'm going to delineate some of this. Putting a line around things. Why not? Make it heavier on the blue than the burnt sienna, I think. Push those lines out a little bit just to make them more tree-like. I mean, this is only an 8 by 10 inch canvas, so you can paint larger, of course. Bring some of those darks in. Go back over them with a bit more red if you want. You can use a lot of paint. It's glorious to use lots of paint. Great freedom in it. Let's see if I can sort of put in some darks in here. Why not? Just a few just around, just to make it a bit more descriptive. See those that line of vegetation along here, I find is a little bit too manicured, and I don't want it to look manicured. I want it to look a bit wild. Let's see if I can put a line around here. Cézanne would put lines around things as well. Good for him. Let's put in some nice purples away from those trees as well. So blue, red and white. And I'll take some close-up photographs of this to put at the end, so you can get a closer look at the brushwork. It's very important that you get to start working the paint as a description in itself, rather than just describing what is actually there. Some around here too. And maybe I'll just come in a lot brighter with a kind of maybe a description of what could be discerned as clouds. We're not really going to over-describe them, just put them into for effect. The painting is all about telling a story and effect. You know, what does like a few lines of poetry. You're summing things up in a unique way, rather than just describing something in words of what the thing actually is. So I wandered about a bit on my own. Becomes I wandered lonely as a cloud. That's a good analogue for what we're trying to do. And back into the trees again, just for a few more strokes of red. Okay, and that's it. A stand of cypress trees in Lombardy, painted in the wrong colours. Let me just grab it off here and see what it looks like on that camera. Okay, there. And at the end, I'll put in some more high resolution, closer images for you. Put it back there, and I'll go to my other camera. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. You're just describing something. In fact, what you're doing is you're using whatever it is that you're painting just as material to create something new. So you're not just sort of reworking the old material like in the same way, reproducing the same thing. You know, the fun is in actually creating something new and kind of unusual. So I said to you that I would show you something that would help you in this particular exercise, and it's this, and you might have one of them yourself. There, it's, there we go, put it the right way around. It's a colour wheel. You see, so there's going to be a bit of glare on this. There, look, that's a good representation. So for example, if we had a blue sky, for this exercise you could say, well, what's on the opposite? The opposite colour, the complementary colour, is an orange. You know, so you do your sky orange. You know, if you've got something that's purple, it can become yellow. And so around the colour wheel. These are very, very useful objects, and you should have one as part of your painting kit. See on that side there. And I'll do a video which explains how these things work, because there's quite a bit more to these things than you might at first see. So that's this exercise number 4 in loosening up. Paint all the wrong colours. So do tell me where you're watching from. It's really interesting to hear, and do leave a comment. You know, even if it's only a suggestion or something that I could do better. I'm open to all suggestions. And share this video. Oh, and of course, like it, because that helps YouTube direct these videos where they're supposed to go. I think that's how it works. What do I know? You know, I'm supposed to be a videographer and a webmaster and all this kind of stuff. It starts to wreck the head after a while, doesn't it? But listen, I'll see you in the next exercise, and do get in touch, and I'll see you then. Okay? Cheerio.